Welcome to the inaugural episode of The Local Mic. Today we're going to be covering the 2025. Goodness. Okay, stop.
Wait, who am I supposed to look at?
Today we're going to be covering the runoff for the Republican primary here in the state of Oklahoma. Today is going to be interesting. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Rebecca Grab, who is unfamiliar with how to look in camera without realizing that these things will not be edited out if it's a good take.
No, he made me laugh.
It's not my fault.
Yes,
Anyway, okay. Well, to start off, to give a little background, so in June of this year, there was a Republican primary as to who would be the Republican governor of the state, seeing as Oklahoma has not elected a Democratic governor since, I believe it's 1986. It's been...
didn't know that.
Well, now you do. It's informative. And if you didn't know that, you know now as well. So, to give a little context as to what has happened, the results for June 16th saw Gentner Drummond, who is the current Attorney General of the state of Oklahoma, receiving 26% of the vote, 26.25% of the vote. Mike Mazzei coming in second with 25.97% of the vote, with a margin of about 1 point, which is about 1,100 to 1,200 points in votes. Votes, not points. 1 point. Those who were eliminated were including Chip Keating, Charles McCall, Jake Merrick, and about 8 other candidates. And they will be facing, whoever wins this primary, will be facing the Democrat nominated Cindy Munson, who is a current incumbent in our state Congress. As far as the raw votes are concerned, it's very difficult to get those numbers, which if I did a little more digging I could, but as far as this video is concerned, there's a lot of research that went into it. So we're kind of stuck with what I have now, and I've got to get this out before the runoff happens, which might be harder than I thought. So who is it that is running for this governor runoff? Well, we have two candidates, Attorney General Gentner Drummond and former state Senator Mike Mazzei. Both of them have history in government. Both of them have somewhat established careers as politicians. Drummond himself, he's 62, and he's from the Tulsa area in Osage County. He's Oklahoma's 20th Attorney General, and he's been serving since 2023. The Attorney General is the majority owner of the Blue Sky Bank, and he is a rancher on, I forget the name of his ranch, but it's okay. I don't have my information in front of me. But he is also a rancher. He is 62. He does look good for his
young.
age. He looks great
young.
for his age.
I wouldn't have guessed.
But yeah, he's pretty good for his age. He's an Air Force veteran. He fought in the Gulf War as a pilot, and he has the Distinguished Flying Cross. He has 2 degrees, one from OSU and one from Georgetown. And his record as Attorney General sees him cracking down on illegal marijuana growing. He's for open records in the Attorney General's office. He has had several opioid settlements. The suits against State Farm and Allstate are something he's been specifically on coverage from storm damage. Those things have been something he's been onto quite a bit as Attorney General. And he's also had quite a few clashes with Governor Stitt. And so he is one to rock the boat. I'll say that much. He's done a lot that would both hinder and help him in how he's approached his job as Attorney General. One of those things is clashing with same party candidate for governor, the incumbent governor. Now on to Mike Mazzei. Mazzei is 60, and he's also from Tulsa, but specifically he's from the city of Tulsa. He served as the senator for that area from 2004 to 2016, and he was also the finance chair or head of the Senate Finance Committee for about 10 years. His accomplishments as far as what he's done, he's a founder and a CEO of Trinity Strategic Wealth, and he's a certified financial planner. So as far as his what would you call that? So as far as somebody who has the knowledge and experience to be able to work within the financial sector of our state and rework state budget to make sure we get the most out of our spending, he is definitely going to be a good fit for that.
I didn't realize he had so much experience, and now that I'm looking at that makes a lot of sense.
Yes,
why he was with the taxes. I know you're getting to that later, but that makes a lot of sense. Also, his voice is really annoying.
That is,
I'm not even kidding. It's so annoying. I listened to it and I was like interested in the debate. I was like, his voice is annoying. It just made a lot of sense when they were having that debate. Not debate, but they were.
No, it was a debate. It was a formal debate. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it definitely felt like one. And he just seemed to know a lot about finances and the way he was going into the taxes.
Yes, if you're unaware, there was a debate. I believe it was on. Wasn't the 9th? Today's the 9th. It was the beginning of this month.
Was it on a Friday?
It was on.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. We'll have, if you know, you can fact check in the comments, I suppose. But their debate they had here recently, I would say Mazzei came across as having a plan. As far as Drummond, I'm sure he has a plan, but he didn't present it too well in debate. You can find more information about what he believes online, but we are going to get into some of that today. So, moving on to funding and endorsements. So this is if you're informed off of where money comes from and where money goes, who's going to benefit from certain candidates, this might be of interest to you. Mazzei has about $10.9 million in self loans, and he's raised about $11 million for his campaign. But there's been about $116,000 from individual donors. As far as Drummond is concerned, there's been about $2.5 million he's self-funded, plus individual donors, and then Attorney General War Chest and PACs is where Drummond's money comes from. Endorsements. Mazzei has made it very clear, and Trump himself has made it clear that Mazzei is endorsed by Donald Trump. He's endorsed by Governor Stitt. He's endorsed by Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and then also Representative Josh Breachin. Drummond's endorsements are from the FOP, the professional firefighters, nurse practitioners, pharmacists, educators, majority of sheriffs, many legislatures, and Barry Switzer. So
that's just not what I was expecting.
The name Barry Switzer?
Oh no, the whole endorsement
yes.
factors. You go from, hey, I'm endorsed by President Trump, and then the next one you're like a nurse practitioner.
There is a discrepancy.
No offense.
There's a discrepancy in who is endorsing who. You can make an argument that both are establishment. From as far as they're endorsed by people who are in government, as far as people who are going to have more of a say in how government funding is going to work, I would say Drummond has more of that base of the people who are going to receive government benefits. But Mazzei himself is the MAGA candidate, if that's how you'd want to put it. Calls him Trump has called him 3 times a MAGA warrior. And judging on his policies, I think there's good reason to say that. He is very much for MAGA base. He definitely goes from that area. Drummond would come from...
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that if someone is endorsed by Trump, don't you think it would make the likelihood of what they're trying to get accomplished more likely?
As far as federally...
I would assume it would make it much more likely to get it done.
Endorsement from the federal government is very
Meaning
helpful.
you're most likely going to keep your promises, because if you look bad and the president endorsed you, I mean, I would assume.
Fighting against the federal government as a governor is not always the best option.
Not the best option.
But yeah, it's not great. But
something I didn't notice before.
Yeah. Just to add to those endorsements, also the wasn't in my notes, but it's still something worth noting that the Oklahoma Ranchers Association, I don't quite remember their name off the top of my head, has withdrawn their endorsement of Kentner Drummond, mostly over his suing of Tyson Chicken. So I think that's a bit showing of what his policies may do to at least agriculture within the state if major groups like that are pulling their endorsement from him, and you can look into as to why, or I might make a video of it later. I'm not sure, but that's also very interesting. I thought I should add on to the end of those endorsements, even though technically it's not an endorsement, it's a withdrawn endorsement. Moving on, as far as where they stand on their major political views, we're going to do a side-by-side on what they believe on specific topics. We're going to be discussing where they're silent, where they have been trying to hound on, what they've been trying to accomplish or get across that they will accomplish as governor. To start off, we're going to look at the income tax. Mazzei is looking to eliminate it entirely, within about reducing it by about 1.5% within a year, and he wants it to be at 0 within 6 years. And he doesn't want any offsetting tax hikes, meaning as it starts to phase out, it will be completely gone. There's not going to be any tax that comes in to fill its space. It's just going to be gone, which I'm very much in favor of. And Drummond himself says, and this is a direct quote, "We have to be careful with this notion of zero income tax without growing our economy," which I guess to me suggests that it's not as much a priority for him. It just depends on what you are looking to get out of your governor. So, moving on to property tax. Mazzei himself says that he wants to eliminate the property tax for seniors who are 65 and over and veterans. And he wants to be able to pay for it by ending data center breaks, which would be very good. And we'll get into data centers later. That is a huge topic nationwide. A lot of divisive stances on it. But interestingly, it's one of the things they very much agree on in how to approach. Moving on to the budget. Mazzei is very much in favor of a Doge approach to the Oklahoma budget. Department of Government Efficiency was what Doge stands for, DOGE. And he cites that the auditor Cindy Byrd's $1.6 billion Medicaid figure is what is going to fund most of our projects in the state of Oklahoma for the next year. I believe that's a yearly figure. If we were to audit Medicaid in the state of Oklahoma, we would have an excess of about $160 billion within a year. That could be wrong. That might be over 4 years.
Yeah.
But $160 billion is still $160 billion, regardless of how quickly you get it. It's
not an annual figure.
If we looked confused for a second, it's because in the very next line, it says it is not an annual figure. But that was also that audit was from 2019. It could be that there's more to get, but it also could mean there's less, because I do know Republicans in the state do like cutting costs if possible. So that number could be very much different. I wouldn't be hoping for, if he wins, that we would get $1.6 billion. That would be, I feel like that would be...
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of
and
money.
That could be disappointing if we don't get that. But it's all right. Drummond's approach is that he wants to emphasize accurate revenue estimating. I'm not sure what that means, but it would say to me that it is a very subjective thing how we would approach the budget. But it also does make sense that we want to make sure we can afford what we can afford. I believe that's what's being meant by that. And then cutting things that we cannot afford would also be a big portion of that plan. Now, another problem that a lot of people are looking at the moment, and what's getting a lot of news, is the Inola aluminum smelter, which shows a big divide between the two candidates. As far as what's going on there, there's about $4 billion in the EGA Century project, the first new U.S. primary aluminum plant since 1980. So this is very much a big topic for debate. It carries into a lot of, I guess, more national pushes to get an industrial base built here within the United States, which is very important because that's been a huge point for a lot of candidates, that we need to put America first in what we do in manufacturing and stop sending it to other countries, which has been the MO for quite a while. But there are other things that Drummond brings up that could be a problem, and Mazzei himself did reverse his opinion on this. However, it'll bring about 1,000 jobs, and that's one of the primary things that we're looking at, is the possibility of 1,000 jobs, high-paying jobs for workers in the state of Oklahoma. So Drummond first, he opposes the smelter. He actually filed a lawsuit as Attorney General to get it closed and not have it open. But he objects to the foreign ownership and pollution risk. As far as foreign ownership is concerned, it isn't direct. There's an option to buy. They don't technically own the land. It's kind of confusing. But then the other side is the pollution, which Mazzei says that he has reversed his position because the smelter promises to comply with environmental safety norms and make sure they're accommodating that portion of the project, not just building something that's going to ruin hayland, which is what Drummond was saying, is that it's going to destroy 350 acres of hayland and hurt our ability to be the number one hay exporter in the country. It's an odd argument,
it's a fair point.
It's a fair point.
That's
it is.
fair.
It's a fair point, but it's also a bit of an odd argument because there's no guarantee that it will be destroyed. I guess you can look at smelters in the past and say, well, they've done a poor job. That doesn't mean they're going to do a poor job now. It's the same thing as looking at Chernobyl and saying it's the same for every nuclear power plant in the world. Germany had quite a few power plants that they tore down. I believe it was in the last decade, but none of them blew up like Chernobyl did. So there's always some nuance in these kind of things and how you can approach them. And on the topic of nuclear energy, the nuclear campus that is going to be built here in the state of Oklahoma, we're one of 5 finalist states for the Federal Nuclear Life Cycle Innovation Campus, which I think is something that Mazzei wants to be very much in favor of, since this is something Donald Trump has really been pushing for. The DOE estimate is about $50 billion investment. It'll create 25,000 jobs.
He was talking about the jobs. I remember he
Yes.
mentioned there would be thousands of job opportunities.
Yes,
that's what he was
we're still
talking about.
referencing the debate. If you're confused, you can actually find that on News 9. I believe they have it on their YouTube page. Also, there's an Oklahoma Watch fact check article from the debate. That's very interesting. I would encourage you to go read it, and I can actually leave a link in the description of this video if you'd like to go watch that. But yes, it would create 25,000 jobs, and there is about a $10 billion state and local revenue estimate for having the nuclear power plant here. Drummond has conditional support for it. He is a big advocate of local control of the nuclear power plant. He wants to make sure there is adequate water and energy that is given without spiking the cost for others around there. And he also wants to make sure they're held accountable for how they handle it. Now, Mazzei doesn't have any direct statements on this, but from Donald Trump's support of it, I think we can infer that he is for it, although I wouldn't be able to authoritatively say how much he is for it, as he has not really given any sort of, great opinion on it. Moving on to healthcare, Drummond has, to me, a concerning point on this. He would like to see Medicaid expanded to about 200,000 more enrollees. He wants to cancel Sooner Select, and he also wants to audit the OHCA, which is it's a lot of internal reform, which I am for. I think internal reform of existing systems is a very good thing to do. However, the fact that we're going to expand it also means it's going to be more expensive for the taxpayer, which I am not for. I think that would be a poor thing to have. Drummond is Drummond's main claim to the expansion of Medicaid is that they would have our full 77 counties having maternal and child care, which he says 40 out of the 77 are maternal and child care deserts, which I guess by the term desert, which is kind of a liberal term.
A 30-minute drive.
Yeah, it's
30. He said that. He's like, no woman should have to drive 30 minutes, which I understand, like, especially as a woman. I don't want to have to drive 30 minutes for prenatal care if I'm pregnant, but I mean, he was like deserts, and I'm like, a 25-minute drive.
Yeah, it is a bit of a liberal term to say, food desert, and which
it was
many of those things, yes, it is exaggeration, but it's to get a point across, which I'm for them, the 40 counties having better healthcare. I just feel like the expansion of government given healthcare is wrong. I think there should be more of an incentive for private companies to go in, which there are several within the state of Oklahoma that do a great job providing healthcare through private means. So to me, that seems like that is a wrong stance to take on that. Mazzei, I feel, would be more aligned with what I would be saying here, which is that he opposes the expansion, and so he would be for keeping it where it is and still auditing it. He's the only candidate that didn't address Medicaid cuts, however, so it's possible to just stay where it is, which as long as it doesn't, I would prefer it shrink personally, but it not growing is also good. So it just depends on where you stand on that. If you don't want it to expand, I feel like Drummond would be a poor choice in that direction. But Mazzei is for the maintenance of it. So it just depends on where you stand on that. Moving on to homeowners insurance. Oklahoma pays roughly 2.2 times the national average for homeowners insurance, which is why Attorney General Drummond is suing State Farm and Allstate, which, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, it is a big problem, I would say, but you also have the hazard of tornadoes here in the state. So it's pretty... Yeah. So I can understand where they're coming from, but also it is a problem that we have... we do pay 2.2 times the national average. But Mazzei, I feel like, has a good rebuttal to this, which is that the the suits are politically motivated. They don't actually address the issue of why we even have them to be higher, which they were launched, I believe, the beginning of this year, if I remember correctly. So it's not which would be posturing for a governor's race. So it just depends on how you want to view it. But if you believe that's a good thing, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think we should be paying less on anything. I think that's a good stance to have in general. Paying less for the everyday person, that would be good. Data centers, the big ticket item for all of this, it would be the one thing that both candidates securely agree upon, which would be, and I think this is actually the best way to think about it from my own research, and so I'm glad to see that the two candidates have come to the same conclusion, as well as agreeing on it, which is that there needs to be local oversight of how it's built, how it's maintained. That way local communities don't get taken advantage of. They would like to have closed loop cooling or air cooling, which air cooling an entire data center in the state of Oklahoma doesn't sound like a good idea personally, but maybe there's a way to do that. I'm not sure. I actually haven't looked into that portion of it, but they are for closed loop water cooling, which is pretty doable. Data centers must pay for their own power and infrastructure, meaning that as they grow and build, they're not going to infringe upon the resources of just regular people. They're actually going to have to build their own infrastructure to support their own building, which is fantastic. I think that's a great idea. Mike Mazzei would like to add to that there would be no developer tax subsidies. We've already covered that, and that's part of his plan to make sure we have a larger budget that will accommodate cutting income tax for the state of Oklahoma. There are also some other things that both candidates are looking to do. Mazzei promises day one executive orders to eliminate Chinese-owned land, and Drummond. Hold on, I'm going to rephrase that. There are some other things that both candidates have taken stances on. Another thing they are both kind of in agreement on is that Mazzei has promised to have day one executive orders canceling Chinese-owned and other foreign nations owning land within the state of Oklahoma, which technically the Oklahoma state constitution does restrict. So that he'd be well within his right to do so, and Drummond is for him in those restrictions. As far as education, both back the parental choice tax credit, which is fantastic. Both of them being for that would be not quite the norm. Most independent, at least from when last I checked, most independent candidates are against it as far as the libertarians and independents are concerned. And then all Democrats within the state are against the parental choice tax credit, which enables you to really send your children wherever you want with money you're already spending toward state education, which I think that's a great thing. That should be kept within the GOP model. I think that's a great thing. The final thing I was going to cover is that the Mike Mazzei Trump endorsement been endorsed 3 separate times.
Oh no, I knew you were going to say this.
What? But Drummond has been accused of being a Republican in name only, or rhino without the H. That's how it's spelled.
I know.
It's okay.
I know.
But I can't speak authoritatively to that. But that is kind of the name calling that's been thrown around for various different reasons. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's something that's been thrown around a lot since the GOP took power in 2025.
Still funny.
Yeah, so it's just a bunch of name calling and finger pointing that really doesn't get anybody anywhere. Yeah. Moving on to a list of possible conflicts of interest. We'll start with Gentner Drummond. He is the majority owner of Blue Sky Bank, which markets multi-state cannabis banking, while his signature attorney general work targets illegal grows, which I feel is a major conflict of interest in that you're shutting down the illegitimate and then also turning around and financing the legitimate. So it seems like you're limiting competition to consolidate customers. That's as
Could
Attorney
be.
General. It
Could
could
be.
be. It could be. It's a little odd. It's a little fishy for me.
The way he put it in the debate was really,
Yes.
that was kind of funny.
It was kind of it was a bit shocking. Another thing is that no mainstream outlet has asked him about this issue. It is probably the biggest unworked story in the whole race. I personally can't find a whole lot of information on it, but I do know it is true for the most part. It seems like it's a bit of a missed opportunity. However, Mazzei has been exploiting that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Drummond has also co-signed a 2025 bipartisan 32 Attorney General letter backing the Safer Banking Act, which, as a majority owner of a bank, would be a little odd. And it's a bit of a conflict of interest there. Drummond also has stated that he has no inherited wealth, which is a claim that has been falsified by the Frontier. I can get a link to that as well if you'd like to look at that. The Make Oklahoma Great Again PAC run by Jared Breccia, also the COO of Drummond's campaign firm. He also ran an AI attack ad funded by a single $900,000 dark money donation. So his stance I feel like his stance on data centers may counteract this and maybe work in his favor as a claim that he is for them, but there's also a chance that he's just saying that to win, because he did say it directly after Senator Mazzei said it. It didn't seem like it was very thought out in his delivery, but it is a stance he has that he's stated. So whether he's going to fulfill that or not, it's unclear. There's also another wrinkle in this. I did recommend earlier that you go look at the Oklahoma Watch newspaper for their fact check of their recent debate. Drummond has given known donations of totaling about $1,000 to the Oklahoma Watch. Not an incredible amount of money, but it's still a possible conflict of interest when looking at anything that would be for Drummond in the newspaper, just as a possible caveat.
The places he spent his money are like all conflict of interest, if you haven't noticed.
Yes. No,
pretty much
yes.
all the big donations he's ever made that we hear about and you just find randomly, you're like, aren't those like all conflicts of interest?
Yes.
And he just denies it.
Yes.
But
yeah. So moving on to Mike Mazzei. Mazzei has about $67,500 to Roger Stone's firm. He had given $67,500 to Roger Stone's firm before the Trump endorsement, which could be suggesting that he bought the endorsement. However, I don't feel that is the case. Looking at the timing of how it happened, it could be coincidental. But then there's also the fact that I feel like his policies speak for themselves as far as why he was chosen for the endorsement. But then again, that is a possible conflict of interest. But I don't believe that to be the case, although I have no hard factual proof for that. There was another major claim made by the Drummond campaign and Drummond himself again in the debate, which is that Mike Mazzei has a conflict of interest in the Inola smelter. One of the reasons he would have changed his opinion on it from being against to for it was because his brother would have benefited from it financially, because his firm was given the ability to go out and plan the smelter. That was not true. It's actually been proven false by you can go look at the Oklahoma Watch article, again, linked in the description. It will be, you can see that it's his brother's firm. He is on one of the boards in the firm, and the firm did make a deal for a project in that area, but it was with a tissue manufacturer. So it's so it's not very. I think it was just kind of something they saw and thought they could get an attack on him with. So it's. I don't believe there's any conflict of interest there.
Drummond's always just looking for dirt to throw.
Yeah, well, they kind of both were. But I feel...
Okay, but Drummond's didn't even make any sense.
Yeah, Drummond seemed to be more grabbed from thin air and possible things that look bad but really aren't. It's just depending on how you look at it. Nationally, runoff turnout has fallen in 266 of the 276 federal primary runoffs, which is about 96% of all runoffs within the United States, and the median drop is about 40%. So Oklahoma is actually above the national average. However, it is still a dramatic drop-off from runoffs. Longer primary to runoff gaps deepen the decline as well. Oklahoma's, luckily, is about 2 months. The June 2026 turnout was already only 26% of the total Oklahoma voter base. So we're looking at 26% of our voter base declining by almost 30%, which is incredible. So the people who will decide this race, unless there's insane turnout, are going to be very slim. Now, all that said, we are over our time and we need to go. So thank you for watching and tuning in. And if you would please subscribe, and hopefully by this point I have a way for you to give monetarily. That would be incredibly helpful and a blessing. If you'd like to see us be able to do this full time, it would be through your support. So if you'd consider supporting us, at the very least liking, subscribing, and definitely sharing this video with others who are also interested and maybe don't have the time to do all the research into it. But thank you very much and have a great day.